YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today we're going through about 9 rookie quarterbacks. I'm going to talk about my opinion. Should they start? When should they start? And then my prediction. Will they start? When will they start here? So opinion and then what I think will actually happen. You guys can play along in the comments. So we're not just talking about the first round quarterbacks. There's a few other quarterbacks, day 2 and then a day 3 quarterback. I got some bold takes maybe, but I feel confident about, of course. So I'm excited about this one. Follow our Twitter for constant updates. Link down below. It's also on your screen. And make sure you like, subscribe, all kinds of schedule content, season predictions incoming very soon. And then post-draft content, winners, losers, grades, things like that up on the channel already. So here's our Twitter, @GoAtsNFL. Check it out. Let's start with the quick ones, obvious ones. Trevor Lawrence for the Jaguars should start week 1 and will start week 1. It's plain and simple right there. Everyone's on board with that. But yeah, what I like here about the Jag, I think they're going to create, especially early in the season, kind of game plan problems for other teams. Like, how do you game plan for this? Trevor Lawrence can run pretty much any offense, a bunch of different play styles. And you really don't have a firm grasp on what they'll do, mainly fresh team, coaching staff. So that's going to throw teams off. Maybe not just early year, maybe the whole for a long time, maybe, but really early in the year. So that's going to be what I'm looking forward to there. Zach Wilson on the Jets should start week 1. Will start week 1. We're all on the same page on that one as well. I think he fits that system. I think he's a plug-and-play type guy. They obviously moved on from Darnold, so he'll be the starter. I guess the storyline with this one is, because he wasn't that top pick. He only played like that top pick for this last year. Kind of an odd season for sports in general. It's an odd year for sports in general. Will he kind of go back to, he kind of has some growing pains a little bit, now going from BYU to the NFL, or will he continue where he left off in a way? So that's kind of the storyline there. Could see it going either way. Here's one that I'm pretty firm on, pretty straightforward here, but it might be bold to some people. It might be debatable for some people here. I think Mac Jones should start week 1. I think he's going to start week 1. I think the Patriots got their guy. I think he fell right in their lap, obviously. I think he was a top 3 quarterback on their board, maybe top 2. I think he fits their system. They got a pretty damn good roster there. From opt-outs coming back. They already had a pretty good roster. Opt-outs coming back, and then free agency as well. So I think you can throw him into that situation, and it's pretty damn good. I don't really think Cam has it anymore. So he can run. He makes some plays here and there, but I was a big Cam Newton fan for a long time too. I mean, still am, but I just don't think he's got it in him anymore. Maybe. Not saying he can't win games or anything like that. I know he has more talent around him now, but I think the plan is, especially with the contract they gave Cam, incentive based. It was kind of a big-time insurance thing. It kind of felt like we're gonna build a roster for the quarterback that we're about to get as well. I think that's the route they go. I think we'll see Cam Newton, short yardage, goal line, some run plays, maybe get teams on their toes thinking he's going to run. The ball goes elsewhere. I think we'll see that. So that's my prediction. I think it should happen. I think Mac Jones, I don't think it's going to do him any good sitting. I think, just him, he's kind of just getting in the groove the last 2 years, especially this last year. He's a smart quarterback. Just get him in there and play your game. Play the game. Let the roster himself, the whole thing, the entire thing, just pick up each other there. Every unit, every player, it has the ability to do that. So that one might cause a little bit of a debate. I thought it was pretty straightforward for me, but I'm not 100% that he'll start, but I feel pretty confident. Get into some interesting ones now. Trey Lance should start week 1, in my opinion. Garoppolo hasn't shown signs of improvement. Quarterbacks that don't improve, that stay the same, actually really get worse in a way. Do they decline, arm talent-wise at that age? No, absolutely not. It's just, if you don't improve, you stay the same. Players, teams, coaches pick up on you. More film, more reps against you, more film reps against you. That's what happens. It happens all the time. You also add in the injury concern now. So this team's got pretty high standards. It's a very good team. So, I don't think there's a reason they trade a lot away. There's a reason they went up to 3. There's a reason they took Trey Lance. So that's another reason. I think they could be a game plan problem for teams because, Shanahan's already got a great system, a great football team here. He's a great play caller. at the same time, it's no surprise, what he throws at you, this system. Teams have seen it. It's not a hard game plan. It's a hard team to beat because they're very talented, but there's really nothing complicated about the game plan, but you throw in Trey Lance, little bit different here. You throw in the running aspect, the running elements. They might be adding to the system. It might be a little bit different of a system on top of the old system here. It might be some more power running plays. The way they drafted as well. They almost drafted to kind of fit Trey Lance. Guys like Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon, a power runner. They almost drafted for Trey Lance ball here on offense. So are we going to shelf all those guys? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, even if they do, it still could work out in the future. Another thing is I understand if a guy doesn't have a lot of reps, maybe he's not ready. And if he needs to get ready, he needs to learn more. That's understandable. But I don't understand, people like straightforward saying he doesn't have enough college reps, so he shouldn't start right away. Well, how the hell? You're basically saying he needs more reps to be able to play. How's he going to get those reps if he's not getting the reps? So that doesn't make sense. I do understand he needs to add more knowledge. He needs to learn more because he didn't get the reps. But the people that straightforward to say he doesn't have enough reps to play, he needs more reps. Well, what? It makes no sense there. So I think he should start. I think they'll be better with him. There might be some growing pains, but that's just how it goes, But I think he'll sit. I think they'll sit him week 1. That's my prediction. It's kind of up in the air for me. I'm maybe pretty specific, maybe pretty bold. I'm not guaranteeing anything here, but I'm going to say he's in by week 5. I'm just going to say that. I think they won't view him as maybe ready yet, which you kind of hope you see that he's ready, that you traded that much away. And you got him at 3 over some other guys that you strongly considered. It felt like Mac Jones was the other one. I know the fans wanted Justin Fields, so you chose him over those guys. So you kind of hope that he does feel ready. I guess that's besides what I'm about to say here, though. But why I don't think that's why I think he'll sit week 1, for why they ultimately decide that. But why I think he kind of gets thrown in there by week 5, it's not really thrown in either. I think a good situation we expect for the 49ers at that point, good ball team. Garoppolo's average to below average play. Maybe the injury concern pops up. That kind of what forces him out, Lance in. High standards here in San Francisco. They are confident. They should be confident. They can win the Super Bowl. They believe that. I believe that, if healthy, with the right pieces. So if Garoppolo ain't playing better than average, it might be Trey Lance time. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. And I think that kind of gets him in there. And again, that could also force game plan problems for teams. All of a sudden, Lance is in. God, we just watched film on Garoppolo. So maybe that could be a blessing, but I think you almost kind of get the same outcome week 1 in my opinion there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of predicting that he won't start week 1, though. I think most people are, but we'll see. I guess we don't fully know where Garoppolo's injury's at either. Maybe they don't feel like he's ready. Maybe he's the one that's not ready. Who knows there? Big one here, Justin Fields in the Bears. I think he should start week 1. I don't really have to think about that one too much. I think Justin Fields should be the Bears starter week 1. Did Trubisky get thrown in too early? And the answer is yes. Did that affect him? Yes. And I don't really think along the lines of because he didn't have a whole bunch of reps. Because, again, I think you get reps by getting reps. So that doesn't make sense to me when people say that. But I kind of have that pre-draft evaluation on him that he didn't really feel like he's ready. He didn't really play the best, the better competition compared to the other guys. We didn't really grasp on what his play style, what his game exactly is. Unlike a guy like Trey Lance we just talked about, unlike Justin Fields as well. But the main thing is here, did he get thrown in too early? It was mainly, did he get thrown in too early into a rough situation? I think yes. Glennon started over him. It wasn't the best situation in Chicago. Trubisky gets thrown in. Not good. So the answer to that question is yes. Is Justin Fields Mitchell Trubisky? The answer to that is hell no. They're not even close to the same thing. Justin Fields has more talent, way more to his game. He has more experience playing the best competition, playing at the highest of high levels, playing in the high pressure moments. He has way more confidence than Mitchell Trubisky ever had as well. That's fantastic. So they're not the same thing. So that kind of goes in. I think some people say we threw in Trubisky too early, bad situation. I agree with that. But again, they're not really the same, So I could agree on one part, but that doesn't mean that you have to play it that way, Again, he has almost too much talent and plenty of experience to sit behind an Andy Dalton, week 1 in my opinion. But for me, If you do sit him week 1, then I just want to hold him out for the whole year. That's for me. I don't want you to throw him in, because if Andy Dalton starts, the Bears are winning. I'm not going to change anything up. That might hurt a little bit, man. We're winning, and Justin Fields on the bench. That might not look good, but at the end of the day, you're winning. You're winning. But if you're losing, then all of a sudden you throw Fields into a losing situation, a losing attitude, atmosphere. I can't tell you when that works out. I think Baker Mayfield got thrown into a pretty rough situation, shown some moments. The next year wasn't too good. I know this past year he played well. It's besides the point. But other than that, maybe that it's like a 99% failure rate is what it feels like into a bad. Maybe it's not a bad situation. Maybe it's 0-2. Maybe it's okay, or 1-1. Maybe it's 1-1 or something like that. 1-2. I don't know. For me, I would start him week 1 because he has the talent. In their window, it feels like their offense is going north, right? Mainly because Fields, guys like Darnell Mooney, running back room looks pretty good. Robinson's got 1 year left in the deal. Can they finally work on the contract? Whatever. Defense, it kind of feels like it's declining. It still could be solid, but Fields gives you best opportunity now. Is a rookie quarterback going to go win a Super Bowl? Probably not. But I think it gives you the better opportunity right now. So that the window is kind of closing, but the offensive window's evolving, I suppose. So I start. You won game with Trubisky too, and him playing pretty poorly. And Fields brings that, and he can run like they want Trubisky to, but he has that pass. He's a very good passer. He's a pass-first guy, of course, too. So everything for me points towards him starting week 1. And we'll kind of explain why that more, but what will happen. I think they're going to sit him week 1. I'm hearing it more and more. Really, you kind of get the feeling, unless they're just playing games with us, Nagy and Pace, that is. But I think maybe he starts the whole season. Sits week 1, maybe he sits the whole season. Again, if you sit him week 1, I'm almost for sitting him the whole season. I'm afraid about throwing him in that bad situation, which could be maybe. But I get the sense they kind of fear throwing him in too early. What happened with Trubisky, even though it's not the same thing, just from Nagy, from Pace, I kind of get the feeling that's what their feeling is, And it felt like the way they signed Dalton. Not really incentives. There's $10 million for him. It just felt like we're going to start him. We're going to try to get that quarterback. But we're not going to force him. It just felt like the more and more you hear about it, it just really feels like could be wrong. We all could be wrong on this. That's what really feels like they want to do. And you keep hearing the Mahomes situation thrown out there. Maybe because Nagy was there in Kansas City, but you keep hearing the situation that it works so well for Mahomes. And they're not even close to the same situation. And I'm not talking about talent. Justin Fields has some of those traits that Mahomes has. We're not even talking about Fields becoming talent-wise Mahomes. Not even what I'm talking about. They are not the same situation. It's not the same strategy. It's not the same situation at all, in my opinion. At all. You guys, anybody who's been watching us for a while, you guys know I hate sitting quarterbacks that you value high. Obviously, the Bears value this guy high with the way where they drafted and what they traded. I hate sitting that, but if you remember, maybe a few of you were with us then, I actually finally made an exception before Mahomes even was, put on a Chiefs jersey after he got drafted, but before the season. I said that was the right move. That was going to be the move. It was the right move, and I made the exception. Why? Because Mahomes had that wow talent that we see. We already had it. We knew that. But what he was missing to his game to be complete is exactly what Alex Smith was great at. Alex Smith was a good quarterback then, too. The Chiefs were a good team. It was kind of a sure thing, consistent, solid team. Weren't going to go into Super Bowl, but we knew that was a good team, a good atmosphere, good situation. Alex Smith was a premium game manager. That's the way I like to put it. Better than just a normal game manager. Accurate, complete passes, obviously. Not going to turn the ball over a ton, but he can make that big play. He can escape pressure, get out the pocket, use his legs on the run, to throw the ball on the run, use his legs with the run, not at a high level. But he had those things, and he was a winner at that point as well. And Mahomes, I know he still has that kind of hero ball mentality, but it was almost bad at Texas Tech. You feared the turnovers, more turnovers coming with this, and they would have. Just throw the ball away. Relax. That's what you need to learn, to relax. And sitting there and watch how Alex Smith plays and learning from him and his style of play and the Chiefs' style of play, that winning attitude, he adapted that, which you can just watch and just to relax. You almost need to relax him. It makes so much sense, you know? And I said this before they even took the field that year. It was pretty obvious. And then he just stepped right into a winning situation, and it worked out. You know, in this situation, I think it's totally different. You know, I think Justin Fields' negative is, you know, he might hold the ball a little too long. That's just, he doesn't have too many negatives at all. He's got some wild talent to him, some freaky athleticism. He holds the ball a little too long. He kind of needs to read defense maybe a little faster, but I think it's just kind of just, you know, and he'll take sacks from holding the ball a little too long. And, you know, he maybe doesn't use athleticism. He does, but fully there. And to me, that isn't fixed by sitting. That's something that isn't really, you're going to sit and watch and figure out how to not hold the ball too long, you know. And I also think, I've mentioned this pre-draft, it could be like a Herbert situation. I watch Ohio State, and I see it felt like, I guess we don't know the exact play calls, play designs. It felt like the first reads on plays were the layups, you know, which kind of felt backwards for a guy like Justin Fields with that talent. And if you get an NFL system like Herbert, same thing at Oregon, they made it like a layup offense, and you get to an NFL offense, and you get his talent out of him. You see the ridiculous talent. Similar situation here, but I think that's only fixed by playing. That's only fixed by playing there. And it's Dalton, sure, somewhat of a smart quarterback, has experience, I suppose. You could probably pick up some things from him. I'm not saying you don't, but it just kind of makes me sick when people explain it to compare it to the Mahomes situation. Again, I think you're better off comparing Fields to Mahomes. Not that I am. I think the traits wise, that is more realistic than comparing the two situations. So that's where I'm at with that. So you guys can see, I think you should start him, but I think they're probably going to sit him. But if you're going to sit him, it's not really the end of the world. Just don't throw him in a bad situation. That is the end of the world. So that's my take on Justin Fields. But, you know, love the pick for the Bears. Really excited about that. Go to Ian Book. Fast forward to Ian Book here on the Saints. Fourth round pick for them. This is pretty obvious. You might be saying, why are we doing this right now? It's mainly about what will happen for me. But I think he'll sit year one. Pretty obvious. I like the fit. I like the fit for Ian Book and the Saints. Saints won so many games. Probably the most consistent one of them, maybe the most in terms of winning. You almost like guarantee they were going to be good every damn year. And they didn't really have that wild play downfield. They did here and there, but not as much as the other winning teams there. And that's kind of Ian Book. You know, he doesn't really have that downfield arm talent. Could make the big play here and there, but he's mobile. He's got crazy pocket awareness. He can hit the throws on time underneath. He can buy you time. Like, pocket awareness is ridiculous in the way, the escapability of a pass rush. So I think that fits. I think that fits there. Maybe some sort of shot we see him. Maybe we'll just say a scenario that's possible. Winston's turned the ball over too damn much. Maybe they like Taysom Hill as his current role. His main role there is kind of a hybrid weapon. And they just put Ian Book in. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe. QB the future is kind of a question mark here. But I think Book could be the guy in their eyes for the future. But I do think he sits year one. Or he should sit year one. And I think that's what will happen as well. But I'm saying, maybe a little bold, I am saying Ian Book is the Saints starting quarterback week 1 in 2022. Getting bold on that one a little bit. For 2021 prediction, I'm going to say Winston starts, Hill and Book battle for QB2. It's just going to depend on if they want to keep Hill in his current role, don't want to bring him at quarterback, whatever, and maybe Book can be quarterback too. You know, it could be either or. Winston and now Hill with his rework deal, free agents, this upcoming offense, that leaves Ian Book, gives him a good shot 2022 to be the guy. This could be the plan. They can change the plan. It may not be the plan. It could be the plan. They were pretty pumped about getting him. It was kind of their guy there. I feel like, you know, it wasn't number one quarterback on their board, but it felt like they targeted him and they got their guy there. They were excited about that. You know, so that could already be the plan if things aren't looking good in practice, or if Winston, of course, looks very good this year, Saints make the playoffs with him, he looks good, that they resign him probably, unless somebody just breaks the bank for him. That's a possibility. Winston resigning, of course, it's a possibility. So, Teddy's gonna be a free agent. I'd like Mariota on their offense, but maybe they would rather go Book over those two guys. You know, so that's gonna be interesting. It's kind of a surprise, maybe a surprise guy that could start earlier than expected. Moving on to Kyle Trask, pretty obviously on what should happen. Sit for 2 seasons. Tom Brady has 2 years left in his contract, so and they just won a Super Bowl with him. So 2 years left as of now, I guess. Perfect situation for Trask to sit and learn from the GOAT here. That's obvious. Whoever was going to land there. So he's going to sit for now. What will happen? I think Kyle Trask starts for the Buccaneers week 1 in 2023. So Tom Brady will say likely retires after the 2 years are up, I think. Never know with that guy. But it kind of felt like that was the plan. They drafted Trask, first non-first round quarterback to be taken. They liked him. They want him to learn from Brady, and they're gonna have him improve there. And he showed improvement too, from first year playing for Florida to the next. So that's a great sign as well. For my prediction for this year, though, obviously Brady starts. I think Gabbert ends up QB2, and then next year I think it's pretty clear Brady QB1. And then Trask QB2. And, of course, I was predicting Trask to be QB1 in 2023 unless Brady somehow resigns or doesn't retire, whatever that is. But it's a good situation for Kyle Trask to continue to learn and improve there. I don't think that's too bold there. I don't think that's too bold. Very similar situation with Kellen Mond. I think, very, very likely it's the same thing. Sits for 2 years. I'll say there's some sort of shot, small, that maybe it's a 1-year sit and then he takes over for Kirk Cousins before his contract's up. Possibility. I think it's unlikely, but mainly because Mond was kind of that very experienced, almost pro ready. Got to work on his throwing motion a little bit, calm him down a little bit. Situation. So it's possible that you can look at it either way there, but. Yeah, I think perfect learning from Kirk Cousins because, Mond has that wild playability, that arm strength, the athleticism, just learning the intangibles, just gaining knowledge from Kirk Cousins there. So that's ideal. But Kirk's obviously the guy right now, likely for 2 more seasons because he's under contract for 2 more seasons. I thought the second half of the season last year, that was Kirk Cousins' best ball of his career. Second half of the season. It wasn't the full year, though. That's the thing. He kind of turned into a consistent, okay, solid quarterback too. Yeah, now he's getting some wild play to him, but he's a little on the inconsistent side. Beginning of the year was, the first 4 or 5 games was probably the worst ball he's played. So I guess it's good he's ending on the high note, but I guess that kind of goes into why maybe Kellen Mond could sneak in there earlier than expected is does Cousins stay more consistent in that, or can he stay more consistent? And, Mond kind of fits today's era a little more. I guess a little more arm strength and the athleticism like we talked about. But yeah, again, it is a good situation for Mond there. I do think Kirk Cousins is the guy for now, so I think that's what should happen there. What will happen, same thing as Trask. I think Kellen Mond's the starter week 1 in 2023, so 2 more years for Kirk Cousins here. They could re-sign Kirk Cousins. They like him. Again, at the end of last year, he was on track to look like he was getting better. I almost think him facing more pressure kind of made him adapt a little more. So maybe they hang on to Cousins. There's a shot that they just want to go the Mond route. They like Mond that much, but there's a shot that they can't even pay Cousins because it's going to break the bank there. And since they signed him, they've gave Dalvin Cook big money. They're going to need to give Daniel Hunter, maybe Justin Jefferson, at that time, and et cetera. More guys. Harrison Smith needs an extension. It keeps going on there. So they might not want to pay him. They may want to go the Kellen Mond era. It felt like this was kind of the plan. Not a set plan, but the plan. They did their homework on the quarterbacks. From what I've heard, they were very, very high on Justin Fields and Kellen Mond. Those were kind of their 2 guys there that were realistic of them getting that they really liked. And it makes sense because they fit their style of offense, West Coast, a lot of play action, bootleg, and they both also fit today's era with their athleticism and arm strength. So it kind of makes sense there. And with the homework they did on the quarterbacks, it just felt like that this was, we got to look for that next quarterback. We really have to. So, but again, re-signing Kirk Cousins is a possibility, but I think Mond can thrive in that system in learning from Kirk Cousins. So I think we'll see him in 2023. One more, definitely an interesting one here. Davis Mills to the Texans should. Now that I'm here recording this right now, should. The Texans should just go with the flow here. Well, we're going to adjust it a little bit. He's probably, they should go with the flow. It's a tough one. If Watson's ready, you start Deshaun Watson, one of the better quarterbacks in football. If he's ready, you start him. I don't think I need to say that. If not, I think you go with Tyrod Taylor. Rough situation to throw Davis Mills in. Just the atmosphere there, the Deshaun Watson situation, what's going on with the staff, the players not liking it. Maybe it's mainly just Deshaun Watson. They signed a bunch of 1-year guys. It feels like they want to make a 1-year rebuild type thing, and they want to turn, help better them for the future here quickly. It's a weird situation. I don't know if Davis Mills is right for that situation, but hey, if you go into training camp, he looks lights out, he's progressing fast, I guess I'm not against it. The plan should be, I shouldn't have to say this, Deshaun Watson when he's ready. They want to keep Deshaun Watson. We'll see if he will play for them when everything's resolved. Maybe it'll be week 1 this year. But that's their plan. That's what they want it to be. You have a franchise quarterback, a potential elite quarterback like that. You try to hang on to him, and that's the plan. Deshaun Watson's the plan there. They should keep this in the back pocket, be open to trading Davis Mills for a better than you draft in the 3rd round very early for a better pick. That should be open, I guess, given the Deshaun Watson situation. What will they do? He'll definitely sit to begin 2021. I think Tyrod Taylor starts in 2021 unless Deshaun Watson's ready. I think Deshaun Watson will be the starter in 2022 unless he refuses to play for them, but they gave indications that they're not going to trade him. And that situation kind of closed itself with the legal situations. But maybe there's a shot Mills gets thrown in there at some point. Can't rule that out for sure. I wouldn't really recommend it unless he looks great or something. If Watson sticks around for the future, legal situations get cleared, and he doesn't hold out, he agrees to play, he's the guy. That will be the guy. And if that is the case, there's a good shot, I'd say. I think it's likely that Davis Mills is flipped for a 2nd-round pick at some point down the line because they just got him sitting around. He's learning from Deshaun in this scenario, learning from Deshaun Watson. Maybe if Deshaun Watson's – that's why it's kind of a 2-for-1 for the Texans. If Deshaun Watson's holding out, he's gone. You got Davis Mills, a good young quarterback with a lot of upside, for the future. It doesn't necessarily have to be right now. If Deshaun Watson's ready to roll, I think it's very possible that Mills can get flipped for a 2nd-round pick. I think it's very possible. There's going to be teams that are like, hey, we like Davis Mills a little bit. We had a 2nd-round grade on him, but we had our 1 pick in the 2nd round. Maybe we didn't have a pick in the 2nd round, but we got our guy. We didn't need a quarterback then, so we weren't too crazy about taking him. We'd rather take this other guy. Hey, we'll trade a 2nd-round pick. It's not a 1st-round pick. We'll trade a 2nd-round pick for this guy. And the Texans essentially moved up. They traded a 3rd. Maybe they didn't like this draft class either. They traded a 3rd for a 2nd, basically. So I think maybe it's bold of me to say that, but I think that in this scenario, I think that's a pretty damn good shot that could be in the back pocket there. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 with Davis Mills. It all relies on the Deshaun Watson situation. So if you're just somebody that just thinks Deshaun Watson's not going to play another down for the Houston Texans, well, then they're going to, if that ends up being the case, Davis Mills could be the guy there. Definitely could be the guy. Maybe if it's not right away, maybe could be the guy. So those are my takes on the rookie quarterbacks. Really enjoyed this one a lot. You guys can play along in the comments. What should and will teams do with these quarterbacks? Curious to see everyone's thoughts. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. You can interact with us there. Always talking football. Always talking Goat House updates. And then, please subscribe. Smash that like button. That'd be much, much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.